Sure. So we saw your net revenue up 4.7% in the quarter. And, as we've been talking, you're not, of course, just a cannabis company. You have a suite of beverages and wellness products also. But it does look like that cannabis sort of outperformed in the quarter. What were some of the factors driving that?
So, as you say, I look at this today as a consumer packaged goods business, and it was interesting to hear your interview before of what's going on with consumer packaged goods companies, and that was my old world and wellness foods, etc. But our Canadian cannabis business, was up mid to high single digits. Our international cannabis business was up, mid to high single digits. Our beer business was basically flat. So from a standpoint, cannabis had a really good quarter for us. And, we're in the midst right now of integrating all these beer businesses that we bought. We went through a major SKU rationalization. We also have gone through where we were delisted and buying some of these products and getting them relisted again, and the timing and when all that is happening. So, that's why it's so important to be a diversified company, Julie, because not everything happens at the same time, and you got some good ones and you got some bad ones out there, and hopefully the good ones make up for the bad ones.
Yeah, and when you bought some of those beer brands, we talked about them a little bit, and at the time I said to you, okay, so how do you buy these beer brands and make them better? How do you turn the sales higher? As you say, you're in the process of kind of doing that, rationalizing the SKUs, changing the marketing, what have you. So where are we in that? Do you expect sort of a bigger unlock at some point? Because I know some of the overall secular trends are against you with beer consumption as well.
Listen, the beer category is not growing. If anything, is declining. On the other hand, what I come back and say is this here: we own today over 18 different brands and regional brands, and you see some unique brands. And my strategy is, when we got in the beer business, was how to make beer fun again, and how do we come out with some innovation. And that's what we've been doing, whether it's a non-alc, some of our, lighter beers, some of our unique beers, and we're seeing some of that paying off for us. The other thing is, when we bought some of the brands from, whether it was Molson's or from ABI, just from the timing, most of these brands were declining. So number one, we went through SKU rationalization to clean up some of the SKUs. And number two is innovation, but now getting them relisted out there and getting distributors excited about them. The other thing is, we originally had 10 breweries out there, integrating some of our breweries and taking costs out. So far, we've taken $25 million of cost out, and there's more to do. So, again, we only been in the beer business since the end of 2020, and, we've brought 12, 13 brands together and just trying to get all the efficiencies of cost, the infrastructure, the sales organization, the sponsorship, and not only selling beer at retail, is getting these brands on tap at all the different bars out there is something we, been trying to do. A lot of innovation on non-alc we've done, a lot of innovation on some of our energy drinks that we're doing, a lot of innovation on our vodka seltzers and that we're trying to do too. And last but not least, is Delta 9 product we've introduced last year, which is hemp-infused drinks, and whether it's 5 or 10 milligram, and it's only legal today in about 14 states. We're seeing some really good success, from that. Listen, you talked about Dr. Pepper before and some of the demands for that. Consumers want beverages. Beverages is one of the biggest categories out there, and I think they're replacing a lot of these sodas with some of these unique drinks that we're coming out with.
Yeah, as we're seeing the rate of people drinking alcohol go down a little bit too. Irwin, as always, I got to ask you about the regulatory environment. And the latest on that, as I mentioned before, was President Trump tweeting out this video on CBD and sort of suggesting its benefits for older people in particular. But we haven't seen any actual real movement from the administration, right? It looks like the rescheduling conversation is getting pushed back a little bit. Are you getting any signals from them directly about what's going on that front?
No, I wish I could say I have, but I have not at all. The only thing is this here. When Trump talks about something, he's an action-packed person. He gets something done. And I think one of the big things, what he's realizing is what cannabis, what CBD, how significant it has been in medical research, how it's been significant in international markets, and how it's been significant in the Canadian market. And Julie, we are also getting outreach from other countries, whether it's in India, Middle East, and stuff like that, about cannabis from a medical standpoint. And again, with that, it gives me confidence that something will happen on rescheduling. And, President Trump does not tweet something in regards to, CBD or medical cannabis unless he's got an action plan. But the thing is, Julie, we're talking about a product that works for medicine. We'll sell close to $100 million of medical cannabis throughout Europe next year. And the consumers are buying it for medical reason, whether it is for pain, for anxiety, for sleep, for cancer patients. And there's research that, happening there. So I look at this cannabis today, not just from a recreational standpoint, it's the medical benefits from it. And what President Trump has tried to do in regards to bring costs of medicine down. And I think that's the big opportunity here, is to show where's the benefits of cannabis instead of these higher priced drugs out there.